Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude. It's time for The Midnighter, episode 17. I can't believe I've done 17 Midnighters, but they're fun. I really like meeting you guys late night. That's the plan. So I read this article just now. I was looking for like a topic to discuss. I feel like it's almost like a security blanket. I think topics are like I'm Linus, and my topics are the blanket. You know, that's kind of how I feel. And I didn't really have a topic. There was nothing really entertainment related that floated my boat. But Peter Bart, who is a former studio head and obviously an entertainment journalist now, he's been around Hollywood most of his life. He wrote an interesting article because, as you all know, California is supposed to open. Well, it was supposed to open up really on the 15th. You know, sorry, I've got to pour myself some Pellegrino. The last Pellegrino. I need to go to the grocery store and buy more water and alcohol. Well, I only have alcohol for the Midnighters, but Matt, I've been going through Pellegrino. I hope it's good for you, because I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to Pellegrino. But anyway, so Peter Bart wrote a really interesting article that I thought was kind of interesting, and I thought I would share it with you tonight because it's pertinent. And apparently now, I mean, we can go maskless, I guess. So Peter Bart, impresario, a legend in Hollywood, wrote this article. It was published this afternoon, 4 o'clock. This was supposed to be that upbeat, long-anticipated week when the masks came off and people reconnected with their social lives. Maybe even considered a return to the office or at least a trip to the movies. Instead, a more complicated scenario seems to be unfolding. Bars and restaurants are busier, but a sullen undertone persists. New surveys show that a substantial percentage of the workforce has decided to quit their jobs rather than return to work, and that's true in Hollywood's executive suite as well. There are pervasive symptoms of burnout, report Christina Maslick of the Center for Healthy Workplaces at UC Berkeley. It's like a light bulb has burned out, but not the whole fire. According to the Wall Street Journal, where pre-pandemic workers craved job security, the present wave of resignations is the highest since 2000. The upshot is a major disruption in the way companies must do business. I decided to do my own small survey this week by talking with several entertainment executives who, contrary to the trend, had returned to work. I asked them to list some of the changes that they would like to see in their workplace, promising confidentiality. A sampling of responses: there's too much tension at work, personal and political. I don't like an HR presence in every meeting. People are afraid to chat honestly with one another, especially about diversity. The subtext: the tensions pervasive in society about race and sex are impacting the office. There's an overlap between burnout and stress, says Inger Burnett Ziegler, a clinical psychologist at Northwestern and no relation. The stay-at-home syndrome has fueled political explanations: a rejection of big city life, a fear of crime as well as COVID, the passage of government aid subsidies. A contrary point of view, however, traces burnout to tensions relating to compensation. It's all about gaps, explains one senior executive. Even if you're moderately successful, you inevitably measure yourself against the new billionaire class. Yeah, that's what I find myself doing every day. A study commissioned by the New York Times found that the gap between CEOs and everyone else has widened during the pandemic. Its report concluded that even in a gilded age for executive pay, 2020 was a blowout year. Obscure CEOs like Alexander Karp of Palantir, a data mining company, earned $1.1 billion in pay last year. Meanwhile, only 13 female CEOs made the top 200 list in terms of compensation. Obsession about the billionaire class has been heightened by last week's report from ProPublica revealing that billionaire investors paid no federal income taxes in recent years. Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man, did not pay a penny in federal taxes, the report found. The reaction in the press was predictable. Given what this country has been through with COVID and given how hard it is to earn a buck, this new glimpse in inequity is genuinely disgusting, Maureen Dowd wrote in the Times. Summoning up Charles Dickens, she added, paging Madame Defarge, where did you get your knitting needles? A new report on banking has also underscored the question of excess. According to The Economist, banks essentially are flooded with money. Billions of dollars in cash they aren't sure what to do with. A company like Verizon holds $10.2 billion in cash, up 45% from a year ago, while corporate bank deposits overall have surged to $17 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve. It's reassuring to have money in the bank, to be sure, but the financial arena has become a giant shark tank, one media executive commented. Everyone lines up begging for money from the sharks, who demand an ever bigger piece of the pie. No wonder the show leads Friday night in the ratings. Inevitably, tensions over compensation spill over to the arena of diversity. Are women gaining ground as much as men? Blacks and Latinos may be making gains in job opportunity, but has their compensation followed suit? Says one media CEO, the pressure from the diversity chorus is fierce. I'm looking for input on talent, and instead I'm yelled at about quotas. The upshot, more people of all strata seem to be taking the easy path by opting out of the marketplace. This week was supposed to deliver freedom, but it's turning out to be a daunting display of burnout, which I kind of thought was interesting. I mean, you know, for me, for working in Hollywood is kind of an odd thing, because in 2020, as you all know, I worked on editing the animatics for Dota Dragon's Blood. I also produced, Dave Parker and I produced 6.5 hours of special features for the Hills Run Red Blu-ray for Scream Factory, sitting right here. I've streamed literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours over the last year, sitting here. I've been writing a screenplay and working on an animatic for a project I want to do, sitting here. I've done not a whole heck of a lot except sit in this room in the Robservatory for the better part of a year and a half. I've been down the hill from Pasadena into Los Angeles 3 times now. And, you know, you wonder, like at the end of the day, you're kind of sitting here going, okay, well, I'm a pretty social, gregarious guy. As I know you're probably shocked at hearing that, but I like people. I like working with all kinds of people. I'm used to being around lots of people working on projects, but I feel like, you know, over the last year and a half, I feel in a way really disconnected. Like, I like the hustle and bustle of an office. I love going to a post-production facility. You know, I just, it's weird. And I wonder, I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, are we going to go back to normal? Like, I'd love to get back into production on something, if only to see people. You know, you go to set every morning, you get there at 6:30, you have a little coffee, maybe a little, I don't know, omelet at the food truck, and then you get to work by 7. You start your day, and then you work for 12 hours with an hour, half-hour break for lunch. I miss that. I miss the people. I miss all the different, talk about diversity. A movie set's a pretty wild place. I miss that. I want to get back into production on something. And I've been thinking a lot about, like, are we ever going to have we all just become totally used to doing Zoom calls and doing all the work through through these devices? And I wonder about that. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how all you out there, like, I don't really talk. I don't get a sense of, I mean, I know sometimes people who watch this show tell me about their jobs and what they do, but I really don't know much about it. And I don't know how people are feeling. I figured tonight maybe the people that could come in here would give me a gauge of what they're thinking. Like, what are you guys, girls, gentle beings, kind souls, what are you imagination connoisseurs that make up the Post-Geek Singularity? Where are you all at in terms of work, home life? I mean, as you start to emerge from this crazy year and a half that we've spent, is it working for you? Are things happening? How's it going? So let's see. Here is the link. Oh, that's actually not the link that I wanted to give you. I'm going to put the link to jump into tonight's show, as you all know. If you're interested in coming in, oh man, there's always a problem. There's a link, but I'm interested to find out where you all at. How are things going with you? And that's what I want to know. Galliette Production sends in a super chat and says, "Good evening, Rob. So sorry I've given the wrong impression of myself. I've been going through a rough couple of weeks." Well, Galliette, I'm sorry for that. I guess that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. We got Jordan Britt and Parker Edger here. Oh, Parker, you were there. You disappeared. I'll see if you come back. And we've got Jordan Britt here too. Jordan, we can see and hear you. Can you see and hear me? That's fantastic. You are 5x5. And Parker, I can't see you. No, don't be embarrassed. You're not live yet. No one can see you. You haven't embarrassed yourself. I'm just going to put you in, coach. But that doesn't mean you're not going to embarrass yourself later. So, I mean, and I leave that up to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, we're going to have Parker Edger coming in the center square and Jordan Britt on the right. It's just like Hollywood Squares, but we only have 3 squares and we have no Paul Lynn. So, that's kind of a bummer. Everyone's going, what? Paul Lynn? Yeah, I know. It's a long story. Yeah, so let me put you both in. And you're almost there. Let's see. Where are you going to sit, Parker? Because I'm cutting out the top of your head's getting cut off. There you go. That's good. No, it's all good. You got a cool eye light. So everybody, welcome to Midnight Metal, Mr. Jordan Britt and Parker Edger. Jordan. Hello, gentlemen. First of all, let me start by asking you first, Jordan, where are you coming to us from tonight?
Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola, Florida. Do you fly jets?
You need to come here for Pensacon.
What's that? Oh, it's a convention.
It's a convention, yeah. Right now, we're looking at the possibility of getting our first tropical storm this weekend.
That's what somebody was saying in the chat, that it's coming in for the season.
Yep.
Are you terrified?
No.
Oh, that's good.
I've been through 5 of them, so I mean it's like,
oh, nice.
It is what it is.
And Parker, where are you coming to us from tonight?
The same place I always been coming from Kirkland, Washington. Your home state.
I knew that for me, but I wanted everyone else.
It's cool. Come on, you're like the main attraction here.
No. To know that this show at night is you guys the main attraction. Right, you Imagination Connoisseurs. So let me ask you both. Parker, what's Kirkland like? What's the Seattle area like? Are you guys coming out? Do you have to wear masks everywhere? What's going on?
It's very interesting because Seattle itself is kind of falling apart. It's just really a lot of the big chains have kind of just exited out of the city, and it's all just Amazon. It's kind of sad. It's kind of a shit show, Rob. But here on the Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond side, it's pretty good. It's vibrant. A lot of people I've known have a lot of actors and filmmakers I've known have jumped the ship to California already. I'm still waiting for my Film Connection stuff to get on the ground. Then I'm going to go there. But it's been it's been kind of tough for everybody. The whole riots kind of happened in between there, and that kind of set up a lot of chain reaction. But I would say, it's getting a little bit better here and there, but it's not. I wouldn't say the picture is overall great, now. But it's going to get there eventually. It's going to come back to its glory, hopefully, in the next couple of years, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is still in Bellevue, and I talked to her yesterday, and she doesn't really get out much because she's had a torn meniscus in her knee. But so she's kind of unaware of what's going on over in Seattle. But, I have friends, Seattle and downtown Portland as well. I mean, I think that it's kind of a failure of modern American city leadership. Yeah. And, I mean, in a desire to appease all people, you end up appeasing no one. And it's sad because, I mean, growing up, downtown Seattle was where I hung out mostly,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine what it's like. What about you, Jordan? What's it like down in Pensacola? Is it open up?
It's been open for quite some time because people around here, they just completely ignored the warnings. They went maskless. They basically listened to a certain political party's talking points about about the coronavirus, and of course, our representative is the infamous Matt Gaetz.
Right.
So without getting too political, it's annoying. It's just it's terrible.
Now, are you vaccinated, or are people in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, that's good. What about you, Parker? Are you vaccinated?
I am vaccinated. I got my second dose last week. I had a very bad reaction to it. I was like
So
feeling
did I.
really woozy, like just very bad about it. But I got through it, and I'm feeling a lot better. I actually don't really mind the mask policy that much. I mean, it's kind of nice. I know like people don't like the mask, but I don't really mind it that much. So like whether they go maskless or not, it doesn't really like make a difference to me, honestly. So it's like whatever. I'm on or off it, honestly. So yeah, that's my whole opinion on that. Not to be too political here.
Now, how is work? I know you're waiting to go to California, Parker, but Jordan, what's the work situation there like for you and other people? Are people working in Pensacola?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been some mass layoffs, like because our tourism is our number one industry here.
Right.
We have the beaches, we have the hotels, we have the restaurants, all of that, and some were able to adapt. Some just straight up closed down. Gone, the workers gone on furlough, or they've been fired altogether. For myself and for my husband, it didn't change for us. My husband works at WUWF radio.
Oh, cool.
It's NPR affiliate, and I work at the University of West Florida as basically a glorified gopher, administrative assistant, but glorified gopher is actually the actual title. But not much really changed for us. I mean, there were some days that I did not work. I like Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays I worked. Tuesdays, Thursdays I had off. So not much really changed, and not much for myself and for John. I mean, really haven't been that much of a change for us.
So, are you guys? Are either one of you? Are you going to movies?
No,
Not at all.
not at all. Mostly because the theater that we go to it's a crap theater. Last movie we went to go see was I think it was Star Trek: The Motion Picture when they re-released in the theaters, and
That was last year actually in 2019, man.
yeah, and the quality of the picture, you couldn't see anything, and we had to go and literally yell at this teenager to
man.
turn. It's a shit theater. Unfortunately, you have to do some special magic online to reserve your seats or something like that. I don't know. It just got to be too much of a hassle, and we said, we're done.
Right. I mean, there's nothing worse. I mean, there's a lot of stuff worse in life, but for me, one of my particular pet peeves is poor projection, poor presentation. Movie theaters have one thing to do, and that is to show movies. And if you can't see or hear them, I don't know why they should even try. I hate that.
Yeah.
Parker, have you gone to any movies?
I've been to a couple. As of recently, I saw A Quiet Place 2. That was actually pretty good. I wasn't like the biggest fan of the first one, but I really liked the second one quite a lot. And I went to an early fan screening of F9. It was interesting. It was interesting.
What did you think about the movie?
Like what answer do you want? Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah.
Or do you want?
I saw it too.
Okay, I think we're gonna agree on it that it's probably the worst of the series. Like, it's really not great. Like,
No.
Like the thing about like all the 2020 blockbusters, like if anything, I think the pandemic kind of saved it, because I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of the 2020 blockbusters I've not been impressed with, man. Like, I was disappointed by Tenet. I actually kind of liked Wonder Woman 1984, but I didn't really like F9. I mean, the only blockbuster that the way that I actually like again was Quiet Place 2, and I'm just sort of like, God damn, like maybe that pushback was maybe helped them because like people have been more kinder to the movies because oh yeah, movies are back, and then I'm like, really? Because if they just released them and they kind of like were released supposed to be, they would have probably gotten destroyed critical wise.
I know, I agree. I was shocked at. I've been a big supporter and a staunch lover of the Fast and the Furious franchise, and I hated Fast 9.
Yeah, it's
like
terrible.
I hate it. Like I can't. The two movies that I went and saw in a theater. I've seen two movies in a theater now. I saw Army of the Dead and I saw Fast 9, and I hated them both.
Really?
And I went in wanting to love them. Both of those movies, everything about I was completely on board, and both of those movies lost me in their opening sequences. I'm just like, I can't. For me, it was just all Fast 9 was nonsense.
Yeah,
and it was none of it made sense. There was no realism. There's no verisimilitude at all.
Yeah.
And if there's no threat of anybody getting hurt, then if you're not afraid someone's going to die in a car accident in a Fast and Furious movie, then there's no tension. You're just watching this shit happen, and I'm like, I have no investment in this. I didn't like it, and that's why. Look, I mean, I'm still looking forward to all the Marvel movies. Like I've always been excited for Eternals because I'm an Eternals fan.
Oh, hell yeah.
I can't wait to see the new Bond film, No Time to Die. I can't. I really want to see all the Marvel movies really that are coming out.
Yeah,
and of course Dune. And Dune's going to open the Venice Film Festival, and I'm dying to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Can I say one thing though?
Yeah.
Like, since F9 is fucking like debuting at the Cannes Film Festival, no director can say that like Marvel movies aren't cinema. If we allow F9 to go to Cannes, all bets are off. Just I'm sorry, like you lose your credibility there. Like I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah.
It's just but that's there. But I actually want to ask this thing, Rob, because actually my top 5 movies of the year have actually been kind of interesting. They've all been very like indie, low budget stuff here. Like, did you see like the Bo Burnham special?
No, but everybody's been telling me about that. There's a friend of mine I know. She's convinced that Bo Burnham is going to be her husband one day, and she said it's absolutely incredible. Of course, she's a little biased, but people said it was great.
It was worth the hype there. I also loved In the Heights. In the Heights to me was a fantastic movie. Like, by God, like everybody involved in that movie should be proud of the film they made, man. It was wonderful to me. It meanders in a little bit, but man, it picks right back up at the end there. And it was a great movie. It was a great theater movie. I'm going to try to go see it at the end of June. So it's great. Have you seen it yet?
I've seen some of it, and I really liked it. I think it was beautifully made. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's right up my alley. And as a matter of fact, I was watching it again today because I was going to watch the whole thing again, starting from the beginning. And I had work. It's hard doing these streaming things, and then I have work that I have to get done, and people are calling me. Like today, I had to send Tango Shalom, and then I had to get on a call about distribution for the film, and then it's just I'm like, because I stream every day, it's getting to the point where I think I need to set aside like a day or two a week where I can just watch things and catch up. Because it's In the Heights. I really like musicals, and I've always been a fan. So, and I really like the movie, and it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And Mike Alito, one of our imagination connoisseurs, he was on the show Monday night, and we were chatting. We had a long conversation about it, and he loved the film. He's seen it like in IMAX twice, and he's watched it on HBO 3 times. So, yeah, I'm glad you like that.
My whole family loved it too. Actually, it was really inspiring. It was a movie that I think really worked and it clicks very well. And I'm going to round down my other two. Number 3 being like I actually didn't really mind Army of the Dead. I actually thought it was a very nice little movie. I mean, it wasn't like mind blowing or anything, but it was still a pretty fun movie. And actually, there's 2 more I want to get to. Number 4 was Nobody. Bob Odenkirk.
Yep.
Was pretty good, and also it's from the director from Hardcore Henry, which is a movie I I really appreciate. It's not the best at storytelling, but the camera work and the action scenes in that movie really carry over to Nobody, and it was really phenomenal. And I know the fifth one's going to be sixth one's going to be a controversial one, but I really dug the hell out of the Russo brothers Cherry. I know like it's been like dogpiled the whole year, but man, there's something about it to me that personally speaks to me that I really adore about it. It's a really good movie. It's probably my favorite Russo brothers movie outside the MCU. Like I thought Extraction was good. I didn't really like 21 Bridges, but man, Cherry was.
They directed Cherry.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. Tom Holland's performance, man, artist and kiss, man. And Kari Bravo, you know, she's not as good as Tom Holland, but she carries her own throughout the film. But you know, it's Tom Holland in the Russo brothers movie, and you can feel them sort of like trying to change and grow in the movie, and you kind of like get wrapped up in the adventure there. I know it may feel a little bit odd at sometimes like their artisan style sometimes could get in the way arguably, but to me it kind of flowed very well for me personally. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
Jordan, have you and your husband been watching things? Have you been binging any shows or caught up on stuff?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so what are some of your favorites?
Okay, so I've been wanting to like watch some classic movies like The Grapes of Wrath.
Oh, right.
And
Henry Fonda.
Yeah, and John wanted to watch The Third Man with Peter Lorre.
Of course.
Yes,
and Orson Welles.
Yeah, and we basically we were watching movies from like the year he was born, the year I was born.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and but I like about a month and a half ago, for some reason I wanted to watch something from Francois Truffaut, and John knows a lot more about classic movies than I do, and we sat down and we watched The 400 Blows. I absolutely love that movie. It's like, I mean, that's a great movie. I was really surprised, and the kid in it, he's so charismatic, and he really comes off, and he's a likable kid. But then he winds up in basically a French juvenile prison.
Yeah, well, you have to, that's the first movie of his life, and you got to watch the whole Antoine Doinel.
Yeah,
series.
I've got one of the Antoine Doinel movies, Masculine Féminin. I've got it bookmarked, trying to get around to watching it. But he also showed me, what was it? The Seventh Seal.
Oh yeah, Bergman.
Yeah, I didn't like it that much.
No,
no, because I was expecting something more, like a philosophical movie. This guy's playing chess with death, and I wanted them to talk philosophically about what does it mean to be alive, what does it mean to be dead, and it just kind of went no.
Interesting.
I hate to say it, I was disappointed with it.
All right. I can understand that. Have you watched other Bergman movies?
Yeah, it was quite some time ago. Like his later movies that I want to say the 80s.
Yeah.
And I remember watching those, but outside of those, no, I haven't seen any more.
Yeah, I've got the Criterion box set of like Wild Strawberries or Persona or The Virgin Spring. Yeah, I mean, he is a world-class filmmaker, but he doesn't always work for everyone. Yeah. Darth Plato sends in a tip and says, "Hey Rob, you are going to watch the 1970 Waterloo movie today on the 206th anniversary of the Waterloo Battle." Well, Darth Plato, to be honest, I hate to admit this, but I wasn't planning on it. But now that you've told me that it's the anniversary of the battle, I might have to just look into that. And then Darth Plato says, "There's a nobody movie? Is it a movie about Odysseus? You and your history. You and your history."
Classic literature.
I love Darth Plato. Aurora Uplink sends in a super chat and says, "Did you happen to like the video link I sent you, or was it sort of disappointing or too shoddily put together and not just not interesting? Any opinions?" Aurora, I want to say, is that the video you sent me, if memory serves, that I watched about your Marvel theories? I think that's the video I watched. I liked it. I watched it. I think that's the video you sent me. I get so many, people send me so much stuff to watch a day. I lose track of what as my girlfriend will tell you, I zip around YouTube and I'm clicking on things and watching them. I'll watch I'll sit there for 2 hours and watch videos.
Yeah.
So I think that was your video. No, I didn't think it was shoddy at all. But Marvel, the Marvel Theory videos, I get sucked into a rabbit hole and watch all of them.
Oh gods.
You know what? I got an interesting thing to say about the whole Marvel thing there. I know like a lot of the MCU shows in recent MCU movies have kind of been getting a little bit heated by the fandom menace and a lot of online Twitter. But to be honest with you, like I've honestly loved their slate, the last couple of stuff more than like some of the better Infinity Saga stuff. I know that's like a hot take, but like to me, like one of the things that I've really loved about WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki is that they've all felt more distinct. They felt like they've come from like very like interesting creators, and that's the thing I really I mean, they're not like perfect or anything. They do have their pacing problems, but I don't know. I really enjoyed all of them. If I had to rank them right now, I'd have to say Falcon Winter Soldier is my favorite one out of the bunch. I'm drawn to that show. I don't know why it is. It's just I really liked it. The jury's out on Loki. I still think that the visual styling and the direction of it is very interesting. I think the logo title is very cool, and the end credits with like the cutting there, and Owen Wilson's great as well. But yeah, I would say it's number 2. WandaVision would be at number 3 because I still think the show is still good, but I feel like it had one too many episodes and it kind of just stretched on a little bit. We're still a fine show. And hell, I even liked Spider-Man Far From Home. Actually, that one's probably my favorite movie out of Phase 4 so far. I'm sorry. Far From Home for me is a really solid little movie, to my opinion. I mean, it's not like an Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Right. Well, I've liked the shows too. I'm really enjoying Loki, I guess, because I'm taking them in the spirit I think they're intended. I'm looking forward. There's been a little bit of a mixed reaction of Black Widow, but for a lot of the online press, they really liked it. So I'm really looking. I guess that Florence Pugh is a real breakout star in Black Widow. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Shang-Chi and the Eternals.
I agree.
Are you a Marvel fan, Jordan?
No.
So he's going over his head.
Yeah, well, we're talking about, because I'm a Bergman fan, so I can talk Bergman and Truffaut.
Yeah. You and my husband both could do that.
Oh, jeez.
So now let me ask you this: what was the first movie you and your husband ever saw together? Do you remember? At a theater?
Jeez. One of the Star Treks.
Really?
One of the next gen movies.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I was sick as a dog too. I had like the flu. I was recovering from or something like that, and I was just like, shit. I was like, get me the frack home. Oops.
Well, we can still hear you. Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many. Look, right now there's so many good things to watch.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff to keep up with, and it doesn't matter whatever your taste is. You can find something. I mean, I still think the thing that I've watched this year that I liked the most was The Queen's Gambit, which is
super good.
I loved it, and again, Scott Frank, who had directed Godless for Netflix, which is a 7-issue Western series about all the men in this town were killed and the women sort of take over. Yeah, I thought that was great, and then he did the same thing. Walter Tevis, who wrote the novel The Queen's Gambit, also wrote the novels that The Hustler was based on, and The Color of Money, and The Man Who Fell to Earth. Mm-hmm. And also, he also wrote a great science fiction novel that has yet to be adapted called Mockingbird. So I really enjoyed that show. I thought Anna Taylor-Joy was amazing in it. And there's just so much good stuff now. It's hard to keep up, with everything. There's almost too much of it. I heard today in a conversation I was speaking, I have this Friday night or Thursday night call with my buddies, and one of my friends was saying that he's pitching a project that he's trying to get made, and he said that a lot of places now are saying, look, we don't want any more TV series. There's too many TV series being made. We need more movies. And I thought that was interesting, that and it is. I mean, yeah, because everyone's doing the streaming thing. Well, let me ask you both. where do you feel? How do you feel the country? Are you optimistic about the next couple of years here in the old United States of America?
Depending on what do you mean? Like do you mean politically, like film wise,
All around. I mean, just a general temperature of the country. Do you think that we're moving out of COVID and going back to normal? Are we going to do well, or is it going to not? Is it going to be? Are you optimistic or pessimistic?
Well, politically wise, probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase this here. Politically wise, it's probably just gonna be the more bipartisan shit. Just the left and the right fighting each other, more culture war bullshit. So like that's gonna be a constant always, and it's always gonna be like an overwhelming shadow on everything. So, that's always gonna like.
It's also it's just a huge distraction.
You damn right it is.
It's
but
a
yeah,
huge distraction.
Yeah, but as for the country, you know what? I'm actually pretty optimistic. Biden's been doing okay, I guess. I mean, it's not been like terrible. There's some stuff that can be improved on, but it's not like, oh my God, I'm waking up in the apocalypse. But I feel a little bit more confident. Look, I know everybody complains about like lack of originality in Hollywood, but the reality is like the vast majority of people have such a small pool of like media consumption. Like your buddy Chris Core probably can explain this way better than I am, but you just got to have a more balanced media diet. Like it's part of the reason why I'm just sort of like just so annoyed about like everybody complaining about like all like like these major franchises. Like, dude, just go watch something else. If you're tired of all these like mega franchises, check out like more indie stuff, and there's tons of it. There's
it's endless.
The streaming service, like Hulu alone, has like millions of indie films that you've never heard of that are wonderful, and you should check them out. And fuck, Apple TV is probably my favorite streaming service right now. Out of all the streaming services, they have like so much good prestigious stuff, and then nobody watches it, and it's just like, what? Where's all the adult shit? And it's like, go out and see it. It's like, I don't know, if there's one thing about America that's like really, like just. Like one of our biggest sins is that we like to talk about problems. We don't like to like actually like solve problems. It's kind of like a big issue we have here. And
we didn't used to be that way.
Oh,
we used to be problem solvers.
Maybe, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. I'm not trying to be political here because again, I
understand. No, what about you, Jordan? Are you optimistic?
Well, let me put it this way. I kind of feel like Jakar from Babylon 5 did in the second season when the Centauri were banging the hell out of
the Narn.
The Narn were constantly on the attack, and they were losing ground. And I just, I don't know.
I mean, really you live in Florida. You live in America.
I live in a very red state.
Yes, I mean, there's always the Florida man. There's always something. You've got your own. Your state has its own memes.
I really dislike the Florida man meme because I think it's derogatory.
It absolutely is.
I know, but there's so much good about Florida. There's so much beauty to this state, and it gets overlooked by something Matt Gaetz did, or Ron DeSantis did, or Florida man.
Or the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Yeah,
that was they had that anniversary this week.
Yeah, and you can go to the moon from Florida.
Yes, you can.
I mean, we went to the moon from this state, and everyone just goes, "Well, that was 70 years ago. Who the hell cares about that anymore?" And I'm like,
everybody should care about that,
dude. It's the moon. It's space, the final frontier, and all of that. It's like, and you're just too busy, worried about bullshit problems that never seem to go away. I mean, we're literally having the same arguments that we did back in the 80s, back in the 70s. And my my grandparents had the same arguments. Just ad nauseum. The further you go back, they had the same arguments.
Yeah.
But, hey, we are in a position where we can go to the moon and stay there. We can go to Mars. There is a Chinese space laboratory orbiting around Earth right now.
With Chinese in it.
With Chinese people in it.
They were launched, and they're in it as we speak. So there are actually two space stations in orbit around the Earth right now, which is pretty spectacular.
And Elon had launched a couple of days ago, SpaceX launch, went up, the booster stage landed perfectly. And this is like the 57th time that this has been done successfully.
Yeah.
And down in Boca Chica, Texas, he's been testing the Starship.
Yep.
And they've just recently finished the launch tower for the whole thing, the whole assembly. I mean, they're getting ready to launch the whole shebang in maybe
and that ship
a year or so.
It looks like it's right out of a 50s science fiction
Doesn't it,
movie.
though?
I mean, I can't look. There's no doubt that I always look to SpaceX or Blue Origin's giant phallic rocket. That worked pretty well too, and that's got landing struts that come out of it. They look like something from Star Wars. At least the landing struts do, and I can't believe what I'm seeing. And the space program is rapidly advancing. I mean, NASA would take 20 years to do what SpaceX and Blue Origin have been doing in the last couple of years. It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, like Starship, that thing is just, we're going to see that thing go to the moon.
It's freaking awesome.
It is awesome. And I look at that and I'm like, I can't believe we live in a time where there's an actual spacecraft and that thing is huge. Yeah. It's huge. And they when they successfully landed that thing a couple of weeks ago, and it worked. I mean, watching that thing come down sideways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that thing is, what is that like? It's like, how many stories is that?
I don't know.
They're launching. It's like a 6-story building.
Yeah,
I mean,
about
that thing is huge. And watching it land again when it does its maneuver, and I can't believe I live in a world where that works. I mean, I used to watch 50s sci-fi movies, and like one of my favorites. Actually, this is a 60s movie. By the way, if anybody wants to get a laugh, there's a Franco-Italian co-production, a movie called Wild Wild Planet.
I actually saw that.
Did you see it?
I did see that, actually.
I encourage everyone to watch the trailer because it's an epic sci-fi. Well, it's kind of got elements of horror and human experimentation in it, and it's hilarious. But when you watch the miniature space when the rockets are taking off, it's very funny because you can always tell, because they would use real flames, and when they're bringing the rockets down, the flames would curve because it's not inverted, so the flame didn't ever burn straight. But you look at the rockets in these movies, and I grew up with When Worlds Collide and Conquest of Space and Destination Moon, and the Starship looks like one of those rocks. So does the Blue Origin thing. I mean, it looks a little bit more phallic, but it's unbelievable what we're doing right now with space, and the fact that like we went from having one space station in orbit to 2 this week that's now manned by. So we've got China, and then we have the Russian, American, and everybody else that's participated. Yeah. I mean, people are like, they don't even remember. And there might be aliens everywhere. We don't know. Congress is going to get that report of the unidentified aerial phenomenon. Who knows what kind of technology there is out there? So
all I gotta say to wrap this up there is that though it's fun to be in space. We always gotta remember that we have like one small green planet that we gotta take care of now, y'all. And getting back to the topic there, I feel like nowadays we kind of have like a society of decadence where like we have like all these like developments in these like small pockets of things, but like everything else kind of just is trying to just getting by there. So it's sort of like that. So like we're getting all these other great achievements, but in other areas we're kind of just faltering it. But that's like with any society, like when we have like so many resources there. But hopefully we'll be able to balance it out in the coming years, maybe. So we'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Paulus Plain. Paul writes in and says that Starship is 50 meters tall, which translates to 164 feet. That's fucking huge.
I say it's 50 feet. I think it's 50 meters too many.
I mean, that's pretty. When you see the interior, too, I mean, if that thing is going to go to Mars, it's going to at least have to have. It's got enough room to keep people a little comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to sign up. I want to go with that Japanese businessman around the moon. You know,
Totally.
who paid $1 billion or something to go on Elon Musk's first
Yeah.
Starship trip around the moon.
Yeah.
Just a little interesting tidbit. We didn't get the DY100 or DY500 or Khan, thankfully, but we got Starship. So
Yeah, which pretty close.
trade-off.
I mean, Khan left in what 1996, so you know it's only 25 years late to have a generational ship. I'd love it, man. Someone steals Starship to go on a interstellar. Well, they would never really get very far. It's not really a generational ship, but you never know.
Yeah.
Well, listen, do you guys have anything to say before I bring anyone else on? I mean, I guess.
I got something for you.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay. I know how much you love physical media, and for my birthday, I got a record player, and I've been buying records.
Ooh.
But there was one record that I saw online, and I knew I had to get it because it's the Expanse soundtrack.
Oh, where did
On
you get
vinyl.
that?
I stumbled across someone posted something about it on social media, and
Wow.
I ordered it from Amazon. I think it was Amazon, but it's got
Wow.
it's got music from the show. It's got this one crazy version of the song Highway Star done in Beltalowda.
Oh, wow. Really? That's You know what? I'm looking at this now. Is that the collector's edition double disc? Is it translucent blue?
Yep.
It's wow. I mean, the vinyl. I was a big vinyl head, but this is cool. There's a clear version and a blue version. Wow.
I still got it in a shrink wrap, so I'm not gonna open it up anytime soon.
It's got great reviews. I mean, that's something to own. I've got a few. I might have to break down and get a turntable again because I've got some vinyl that I wouldn't mind playing.
Yeah.
And there's some really cool. My friend Charlie showed me Tangerine Dream's score for Sorcerer, which I always loved in a brand new vinyl. I'm like, oh, I'd buy that. You know, the jacket artwork is great. What about you? Parker? Do you collect physical media?
I don't. I have a couple of figures here and there, but it's basically just like all digital stuff here and there. I'm kind of like a minimalist when it comes to my geek stuff. I kind of want to make it clean and simple. And before I head out here,
I understand that. I
just want to. Yeah. No worries. Cool. But I just wanted to say, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, Robert. Again, I didn't think I would be able to like come back on the show again. I was like, I've been trying to do this for like weeks now, but just I didn't get lucky enough. But tonight was the night. I did it, and I hope to come on some more times. All right.
Well, it's good. I can't wait to hear from you when you get down to LA and you're doing the Film Connection.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And actually, I'm making 3 short films right now, and actually, I got like a whole YouTube channel on right now. So hopefully, if I it's probably not going to impress you, but hopefully, I can show you some of those. And
Yeah, no, I mean, I love to see what work people are doing. We're going to finally give out the awards for the film festival. We announced the semifinalists, and so that's going to be fun to wrap that up finally and give out awards. So.
Yeah, but thank you so much, man. You're like a real idol to me. Like, it's really awesome.
Shucks.
I don't know.
I appreciate that, Parker, and I really like to hear that you're actually going out and you're pursuing your dreams, which I think is great. Yeah. And one of the things that I don't think is going to be going anywhere is people's need for entertainment. And there's so many ways to practice your craft. I mean, I'm amazed. Everything from TikTok videos to YouTube videos to independent movies. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to really make your mark in entertainment these days, which I think is pretty great. Well, what about you, Jordan?
Well,
any final words of wisdom?
Yes, I want you to come to Pensacon next year. Have your people contact the Pensacon people. You need to come down here, and if you do come down here, John and I will take you to this really great sushi restaurant called Sake Cafe.
I'm in. I want to have a sake drink,
and we can drink sake out of soup bowls.
Man, I'm there because all you have to do is say sushi, and you have me at hello. Yeah. Hello, sushi. Great, let's go.
And you don't have to. Yeah.
I'm
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. 1 second. It was quick. There's just one more quick thing. I know it's kind of inappropriate here, but like, where do you want me to send the YouTube channel so you can just give stuff? There's an email, Twitter. Do I just
Yeah, if you
post
want to
it
send me the actual, put it on. You can find me on Twitter. Send me a D. I leave my
All right,
DMs
awesome.
open so anybody can
Awesome.
contact me on Twitter or send it to me here. Pop in a live, just
All right.
put it in a live chat, or you can always send me a regular email through the website,
Awesome.
the Burnettwork.net website. That's true of anybody. If you want to send me anything,
I'm so nervous about it, but damn, I'm pretty pumped, man.
no, I
Pretty
mean,
pumped.
don't look. Everybody starts somewhere, and I think what's great is since I've been on YouTube. Since I've even been doing I can't believe when I say this, but I've been doing my own channel now for 2.5 years, and I've loved seeing all these other people I've met on YouTube start their own channels and do their own thing. It's pretty inspiring,
Yeah.
and it's always, everybody's kind of doing their own. I like hearing everybody's different voices,
Yep.
which I think is great.
Yeah, and always the thing that my parents always tell me, it's like always pursue your dreams, but have a day job so you can pay the bills and pursue your dreams. That's
Yep.
what
Well, you got to do both. I mean, that's par for the course, and they're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah, man, I love it. It's great. But anyway, it's been so awesome being here again. It's been wonderful. I hope to come on many more times, and hopefully I'll have like one of my short films done
Yeah.
by the end of July or August, and I can present it here. It would be pretty cool.
Absolutely, and we will do that. I don't know if anyone has watched for the film festival a movie called Wiener Kill that we put up, but it cracked me up. But Wiener Kill 2 is coming to this channel. Hopefully, we'll debut it on Midnight Metal. But Jordan, it's called. It is. You got to watch the first. It's on the channel. If you go to the Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival, just look up Wiener Kill.
I'm aware of it.
And
I'm aware.
Wiener Kill 2. I don't know why, but that Wiener Kill one of the first movies I got. It just made me laugh. And the fact that they're doing Wiener Kill 2, and I was shown some footage. I mean, it's just one of those things where I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well,
So it's not Bergman, but
yeah,
but Jordan, I will come. It's called Pensacon.
Yep, Pensacon.
And when is it?
Well, we usually have it in late February, but because of COVID, we had to move it to mid-May. I didn't go this year. Peter David was there. Keith R.A.D. Candido was there.
Oh yeah, I love him.
And your friend Melinda Snodgrass was there.
Oh, did you get to meet her?
No, I didn't go this year.
She's just lovely. I love.
I was gonna ask her if we did go. I was gonna ask her, do you want me to tell Robert Meyer Burnett something for you? And it would have probably been, that motherfucker owes me money or something.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Thank God. But she's been on the channel. She's great. I love her to death. I mean, she's such a sweetheart, and she's a really talented writer.
Yeah. But 2 years ago, we had like most of the cast from Battlestar Galactica there. I got to meet Mary McDonnell.
Wow.
Trisha Helfer, Michael Hogan, who is doing well in recovery.
Is he doing better?
Yeah, he's doing lots better. Got to meet James Callis and Tomo Pennicott, and Leah Cairns was there. I didn't meet her because Crashdown, fuck her. She went against the old man.
It's not real. It's not real.
I know.
I gotta say, Jordan, your wife sounds awesome. Like you see all these cool people. You have an awesome husband. Dude, you seem like you're like killing it, my man. Like that's awesome.
I mean, we have the Blue Angels here, so all I have to do is step outside and watch the Navy fly over my apartment periodically when they train. So,
I love, they perform in Seattle every year at Seafair. Yeah. I've watched the Blue Angels my whole life. I love them.
Yeah.
And here I am, like
booming and zooming.
Yeah. Well, listen. Say hi to your husband for me, and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight on Midnighter. And by the way, I'm coming down there, and I'm taking you guys up. Yeah. I'm gonna make you spend lots of money on sushi and sake.
Okay. I don't know. I could probably even drink you in that department.
I'm in. Let's try it.
Okay.
All right,
awesome.
Gentlemen. I will see you guys later. What a great! It was good to have them both. And I love that. So, gentlemen, I will bid you both good evening. And let's see if anyone else is up for coming on the show. Well, that was quick. Oh, we got our old friend Jeremiah is here. Jeremiah wearing my favorite color, purple. Jeremiah, good to see you. And Andy is here too. Although Andy, we don't have. I'm going to put Jeremiah in. Jeremiah, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you again. Actually, they can't see you, but I will put you in. And I will put Jeremiah in. Jeremiah, I'm giving you the center square. Circle gets the square. You deserve to. You deserve to be in the center square, my friend. And of course and of course Andy all the way from Argentina. But hang on a second. Let me put this down here, and Andy, put you in too. And I don't know if Alex is out there, but I saw that they're shooting a movie in Colombia, and I know that Alex, who lives in Colombia with his wife, he's worked in the film business, and I was thinking about him today because I'm thinking, you know what, he could work on a film in Colombia. Now, okay, Jeremiah, I was actually thinking about you the other day because I wanted to talk with you about what I'm about to ask you. So, welcome, gentlemen. We've got Jeremiah is in the center square. Andy, all the way from Argentina, is
everybody.
in.
How you doing?
Oh, we can't hear you, Andy. Your voice is out. But okay, Jeremiah, you know what I got to ask you.
Okay,
I bet you know. I bet you know what I'm going to ask you.
I don't, but I have a bone to pick with you too. So let's get to it.
What do you think of Loki?
Oh, I actually haven't watched it yet. I'm holding off. I'm holding off because I've been hearing so much polarizing information back and forth on both sides of it.
Man, I'm
trying to see where things go. I might jump in with episode 3, but I actually did want to talk to you on that topic though, which is Michael Waldron, the creator. I don't know if anyone's touched on this before, but this guy must be an amazing writer. I've never heard of anyone getting a writing deal at a studio before, at least in the last 30 years, at least since the 80s.
Yeah,
so
not in a while.
He's doing this. He's doing Loki, then he's doing Doctor Strange, and they just jumped on him and made him write Star Wars and just signed him to an exclusive. So, what does that mean? What do you think that means?
Well,
is it just confidence in his writing? Is it what is that? Because it's completely unprecedented.
Well, I think that they obviously think that he gets their franchise properties. I think Loki, I find it interesting. I think we're going into a place where, like, I really enjoyed Loki. I like where they're obviously the Time Variance Authority was introduced in the 80s and Simonson's run on Thor, and it's wacky. The fact that they went in that direction, they're doing some really interesting things, I think. Now, I don't know where they're going to go, but it's even more out there than the ramifications of it are even more out there than WandaVision was.
Well,
I mean,
Kang
we're
brings in so many things.
We're way into the whole craziness of timelines and all.
Oh, we're deep.
I'm surprised they went that way, and it's
Me
pretty
too.
interesting. But I'll wait and see where it's going to go. But the second episode I really liked a lot, and where it ended, I'm like, okay, here we go.
I'm really surprised. It's like you said, their strategy overall has been really interesting. I think it's really strategic, and we start off, with the Spider-Man Far From Home, which kind of gives us that medium between something more character focused and something that builds a universe. Then we got really small with WandaVision, and then they're steadily opening back up and increasing the level of ridiculousness. And then we're jumping into the Kang thing and Ant-Man and Quantumania and things of that nature. So it's interesting to see them go this route because, like you said, there was really no reason to. It would have made a lot more sense to get smaller, stay with a little palate cleansing tone. But getting into Kang brings up multiverses. It brings up the Fantastic Four, of course.
And Ramatep and all that, like Kang knew Apocalypse back in Egypt.
Exactly. So it brings the X-Men into it too, because Kang is in Egypt just like Apocalypse was in Egypt.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways this can go wrong. Speaking of time, speaking of 14 million different ways things could happen. multiverses are confusing for people that like Marvel comics,
Right.
or comics in general. So I feel like this is a big ask. It's a important ask, though. I think it's great that Kevin Feige is gonna believe in the public, give them this chance. Hey, look, here's a multiverse concept. This is something that is more at home on maybe like a Star Trek, or
Oh yeah.
maybe,
I mean,
maybe like a Battlestar Galactica, like something a little bit more hard sci-fi, and he's just taking it as a given. The public is gonna be able to roll with it.
well, and the Time Variance Authority is wackiness to the extreme.
Yep, like Brazil, like you were saying. When you said Brazil, that got me excited. I'm ready to jump into it now. I was kind of
Brazil and the Adjustment Bureau. I mean, it's just such a wacky idea, and it's so fantastical. I mean, it really pushes. The one thing the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done pretty well is between Thor and Iron Man and Captain America and the Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel, they've done a pretty good job for as outlandish as it gets. And Thanos' snap, they've kept it pretty grounded.
Yeah, they try to keep it character focused and not get too deep into the weeds of the concepts.
Right. Well, that's the. I mean, the time the what they're doing with Loki is both.
We're deep.
Yeah, I mean, you've now jumped off a Grand Canyon-sized cliff into the fantastical. And
why is the fandom giving so much pushback to it though, Rob? Because I've been hearing like it's the worst thing since Game of Thrones season 8, or Star Wars: The Last Jedi, or The Rise of Skywalker. But it seems like they're doing their best to appease the fans. This is some really hardcore fan stuff.
Right, it's really hardcore fan stuff, and I think that a lot of people. Here's what I think. I think that fandom is. Not necessarily, they're looking for specific things to bitch about, and I think
we're
they're
splitting
going
hairs now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and like for instance, the whole idea of the Time Variance Authority and the idea of time itself, and a lot of people said, well, Rob, Loki episode 1 negates the entire Infinity Saga because of you'll see when you watch it. And I'm like,
it doesn't. You can spoil it. It's no big deal.
Well, it's so you see a bunch of Infinity Stones that have been removed from the timeline, so they become inert, and that to me it
interesting.
Doesn't. Yes, because the way they deal with time in this is that, like, for instance. And I know it's a little hard to deal with, but I think a lot of people objected to the fact that, they just ruined their entire universe by saying that none of it matters. And I think that's not what they're doing at all.
Yeah, I was about to say they have to contain it.
And so the Time Variance Authority, I don't want to ruin the joy of watching how they. I just think that it's not the show that should. It's so ambitious from a creative standpoint and also a conceptual standpoint. We'll see where it goes. I hope it sticks the landing. But like you said, it is complete fan service to the nth degree, and adding these concepts is really interesting. And I think it actually has gone too far for a lot of fans. Yeah. They're grappling with these concepts. They're like, and even Loki even said it after the first episode. A lot of people were saying, like, so if you can't change time. If everything that you are going to do has already been done, it's already predestined, that means that nothing matters. And
why watch it?
And I'm like, no, and Loki actually says that exact thing in the same second episode. He's like, well, wait a minute. If I can't really change what's going to happen, then I have no free will. And of course, they're getting into these questions. They're going to answer these questions. But I think the idea that there's a lot of heady questions here, meaning that time, the beginning and the time already exists from the beginning of the universe to the end of the universe.
Yeah,
it had already been forged, and everybody like us, when we lived through the time that we lived, our free will defined that timeline. But once it now exists, time exists from beginning to end in a place.
Yes,
now we are
paradoxically both.
It's exactly right. And I think a lot of people have a hard time grappling with that issue. But I think they're going to do it in the show, and it's going to be really interesting to see. To me, it's just, I feel that people forget that they're deriving all of this from the Marvel Comics. I mean, when they're looking for ideas, they're not making up, they're not hiring somebody from outside that's like, well, I don't want to do that. They're like, we're going to go back to Simonson's 80s run on Thor and get the
Yeah, that's
time
the heart of
variance of
Marvel.
Thor. Yeah, and like the fact that they did that at all, I'm like, that is mind-blowing to me. I mean, I wish that somebody who is working on Star Trek would have any idea other than time travel, alternate universes, Q and the Borg. Like, really? That's it? I mean, that's all you got for me? Of all the science fiction stories you can tell, we're going to tell this story again? Oh, and let's not forget we're going to go back into the past like we've done in the original series and the original series movies and Voyager and Next Generation. Let's just go back to Los Angeles. I mean, it's just, I
think
wish...
Star Trek is hard, though. I think it's intimidating for writers, and when it intimidates you, you tend to kind of overcompensate, and you kind of say, I'm going to make this mine. So
yeah, I think that
if you're not comfortable with the material, then you just want to master the material or subjugate it. Maybe might be a better word.
It is a better word.
With this kind of content where you're trying to, in an attempt to put your voice on it, you're also changing the core of it. You're not really filtering it through your lens. You're forcing it to conform to your idea, your moral standards.
Look, I think that's exactly right. And there's 200 Star Trek novels that are good.
Yeah.
That the writers of those novels understood the concept way more than any Star Trek or Star Trek Discovery or Picard episodes that have been made.
I feel like the happy medium, and you could correct me if you feel like I'm going off base here, but I feel like a happy medium is the Watchmen HBO series. I think they took some few departures from Alan Moore's original intent and Dave Gibbons' original intent with the series, but they honored it enough, kept the same spirit, kept the political but irreverent, and even though it's not a one-to-one direct sequel, they jump forward in time. They acknowledge,
but they did things I didn't like what they did with
feel like it's valid. Everything from the past is valid, but
although I didn't like what they did to Adrian
some of it
Veidt.
needed more time.
I just hated what they did to Adrian.
Yeah. I think that's to my point about not knowing what to do and being intimidated. I think if you're intimidated by the concept of the smartest man in the history of the world, then you trap that person. So you don't have to worry about that plot thread. It's not dangling. Well, what would this person do with this situation if we have this going on over here and he was around and he do this?
It was just, I thought it was weird. It was wacky. It was very unWatchmen. Now, Andy, can we hear you? We can't hear you yet.
All right, Rob.
Yes,
I have
sir.
a bone
Now
to
you have a
pick
bone to
with you.
pick with me. Yes, please pick that bone.
You've been talking trash on this channel, so like Candyman, I must emerge when you say, why is there a Lord of the Rings anime, and you'll talk trash about animated content. I have to come out here. I have to defend anime, Rob. Why not?
But wait, hang on. I like anime a lot. I like animated movies, but it seems to me the idea that they're using, I'm there for it. But I think it would be really cool to see that in live action.
Let me put it to you this way. What was the number one movie of 2020, Rob?
The number one was...
in the whole world.
Was it... I don't know.
It was Demon Slayer, an anime from Japan.
Well, there you go.
And what happened to Jupiter's Legacy? That got canceled, but the anime of Jupiter's Legacy is coming soon. It's called Super Crooks.
Yes.
So what there was a big kerfuffle online about this. The top 20 graphic novels being sold in the month of April were all manga books.
Right. Now look, I don't have a problem with that. And I think it just seems to me that the Lord of the Rings franchise, it might lend itself well to this. I mean, I could see it working. I have no problem with that. I was just going through my own anime collection, which is mostly old school stuff, but
old stuff is the best.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you now. You're welcome.
All right.
But I think with anime, I'm a big Gundam fan. I can't wait to see Gundam Hathaway, that I guess is going to be on Netflix, which is the new Gundam series, and then the Gundam movie is coming out. George Vogt Roberts put out a video today about
really? I didn't
Gundam.
catch that.
Yeah, I put it on my Twitter feed. And then, I was looking at my old like the stuff I collect, Pat Labor and Area 88, and I have a lot of 80s
I'm
anime.
about to say the '80s classics like Bubblegum Crisis and stuff.
I have a great Bubblegum Crisis box set.
Can I just say something?
Yes,
go
sir.
for it.
What's up, man?
Oh, first of all, hi Jeremiah.
Hey, what's going on?
Great. I've been watching you talking to Rob many times before, and I think your knowledge is endless, man. It's incredible. The things you know and how you speak. It's like I feel sometimes that I'm the complete opposite to you because I'm so not an expert on so many things that I like in this show. I know some things, but when you start talking about comic things and books and all that stuff, I'm so interested. But I'm trying to learn a lot because I'm not that expert, so I'm just trying to keep up. I want to say,
wow, thank you.
well, that's just one thing. I want to say something about what you were talking. I just hope, please, Netflix, do not fuck up Cowboy Bebop. You were talking about anime.
I'm with that
Please
too. I
do
agree,
not
I agree.
fuck up Cowboy Bebop because they need money to do it right because it's a space shit. And I mean, if they do it right, it's not like it needs to be that expensive. I mean, many of the stories of Cowboy Bebop resemble Star Trek. And I know, Rob,
True.
I talked to you the first time. And since Dan's first time, that it's been 2 weeks, it happens many things, many interesting things in my life about Star Trek. I start watching the show, the original show. I'm fucking loving it.
Yeah, the original was great.
I mean, I can't believe how much I'm loving this show. It's been 40 years that this show existed, and I've been in this planet. And I'm discovering right now, so I'm so late, but it doesn't matter. Because
that's what's so great about the modern age is how much we can, everything that we can, it's all there. We can go back and discover it anew.
Here's the thing. Cowboy Bebop, just going back, Cowboy Bebop has some episodes that are just inside the ship, and you don't need huge, expensive budgets to make things really expensive. You could do it, inside the ship with a really cool story like Star Trek. There are so many episodes that you can see. It doesn't need to be that expensive. Just guys talking, a really cool story, good writing, and that's it. I just hope they get it right. When you see some marketing from the actors, and the actress on Twitter, they are always saying, "I know you care." The actors of the Cowboy Bebop live action that is coming soon are telling the fans, we know you care about this. We know. We will try not to fuck it up. And we're just hoping, please, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I think...
Hopefully they just keep it dirty and dingy like the original series and don't
man, please.
But I think they brought back Yoko Kanno.
Yoko Kanno, absolutely.
I mean,
she's there.
Half that's they brought her back. They've got to use Tank. They've got to, maybe they'll re-record Tank
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, 1, 2, 3.
They made a whole promotion about there's no Cowboy Bebop without Yoko Kanno. Real big deal from Netflix. So if they are into that, they should be doing it right. I mean, I'm just hoping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the biggest thing when it comes to adapting anime shows is there is, I guess I would call it I've always said it's a whimsy. There is a different sensibility, especially in Japan, from the West. And I'll give you an example. Like, I love Space Battleship Yamato, or as we know, it's Starblazers. Right. The idea of taking a World War II battleship, the Yamato, that sunk in World War II, and turning it into a spaceship, a spacefaring vessel, that idea is in itself a whimsical idea. Now, I think Space Battleship Yamato is badass, but there's a lot of people in the West. I mean, if you grew up with Star Blazers, it's great. But even like, you know, the whole idea of the giant robot, the real robot genre and the super robot genre, and the relationship like the Japanese have with machines and things like that, and how they anthropomorphize. There's just something a little bit different that's going on there that they bring in. And look at Miyazaki's work, like Howl's Moving Castle is a great example. Some of the ideas there are pretty wacky. You know, they're pretty out there. And I think that Weathering with You or Your Name and things that have been big lately, I think American audiences kind of have a hard time grasping some of the concepts.
They embrace the singularity in a way we don't. You know, becoming one with the machine isn't negative to them. Akira,
Absolutely.
you know, Tetsuo the Iron Man, all that stuff is about becoming one with the machine, and they're okay with that. You know,
right.
For us, you know, if it's the Matrix or things along those lines, we're rebelling against that. We don't like the idea of, you know, becoming automated, becoming programmed, losing our souls. Even the oh my gosh, is that Robin Williams movie Bicentennial Man?
Yep.
There's like
I like that one.
Exactly. There's a need for robots to become more human, not anthropomorphizing them, but making them gain maybe, I don't know if sentience is the word, but they need to take on more of our features, and we don't need to become more like machines, because in Gundam we're big, huge, you know, we're more robotic than human. But like you said, to your point, in the West, we're more interested in robots becoming more human and less humans becoming robotic.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because I need to say this, all right? The reason why I start watching Star Trek, the original series, is because I felt overwhelmed about so many episodes, about so many different series of Star Trek. So I said to myself, I want to give it another chance to this, all right? But I will start with one movie, just one movie, and see if I like it. So if I'm going to start with one movie, which movie I'm going to start? The motion picture, right? 79.
Definitely.
When I watched that movie, I liked it so much. But I liked it so much. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because we're talking about that. The end of Star Trek, the motion picture, is bringing an electronic form that has no life and it's become sentient. And it passes so much time that it acquires so much information, so much data, if I understood, much data that it becomes a life form. And that life form can maybe love. You know what I mean? So we're talking about the same thing. And I thought that was so interesting. So interesting. And when Decker just says, I want to stay here, I want to stay with Voyager. That is not Voyager, it's Voyager, of course, but I want to stay here, and this is what I want. You know, Kirk wanted the Enterprise back. I want this, and the movie ended, and I said, okay, now I have to see the Wrath of Khan. You know, the following, and I said, no. Let's just go back and watch the original series, because I like the characters so much in just one movie that I said, I need to give this a real serious try, you know? I don't have to think about special effects or maybe fight choreography sometimes, or maybe the acting of some secondary characters that is questionable. But, I start watching the first episodes. The first two episodes didn't grab me that much, but the following ones, especially when we get to the fifth one, that is The Enemy Within, I think.
Yep.
The Enemy Within. When I saw that one, I said, okay, this series has something so interesting to say. It's not about special effects. It's not about, big explosions or shit like that. Like, probably it is the new Star Trek. That's the issue. But the thing is that it has something so important and so interesting. It's like we are bringing you, the audience, a discussion. And you can get involved in this discussion. Now, the episode ends after 50 minutes, and that's okay. But then you continue thinking about it.
Yes.
And in every episode, the episode ended, and I said to myself, I can't believe this is like how much? 50 years? 60 years?
55 years this year.
And I'm discovering right now what have I been doing all my life. You know what I mean? So that's it. And I'm following. I'm in episode 41. I'm in the second season. I've already passed Metamorphosis and Scott's Man's Best, and
Yeah.
and I passed all that. And one episode is better than the following. I'm going crazy.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I've got a super chat question I want to ask all you guys. This is a good one. Mr. Sean 3 Kids sends in a super chat and says, Rob, what is your favorite film that is about aliens, but it can't be Star Trek, and why? Now, I would say first, my answer to that is I would never say, well, maybe Star Trek the Motion Picture could be one, but I would say my favorite movies about aliens are not about confronting. You're asking me about aliens. I think that one of my favorite films about aliens, there's a couple. One of the first thing that pops into my mind is the Day the Earth Stood Still. Because with Day the Earth Stood Still, we met an alien, Klaatu, and his robot Gort, and he came to Earth, and it's almost like a character study where his travails on Earth are what we're looking at. Now, I'm not talking about the remake with Keanu Reeves. I'm talking about the original from the 50s with Michael Rennie. That would be one of them. I would say The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie, the Nicholas Roeg movie that was made in the 70s, is another one because it's a character study of an alien and what he does while he's here. And I think another movie that I love is Denis Villeneuve's Arrival. You know, when our human characters are trying to figure out how to communicate with aliens and how is that going to work, and they truly are alien. And the same is true. I mean, it sounds maybe cliche, but E.T. is a really interesting movie because you see the world through E.T.'s eyes, and even though he meets kids, he still wants to get home, and you're learning a little bit about, his methodology. And I like those kinds of movies that give us a possible scenario with what aliens like. What about you? I'd ask you, Jeremiah, do you have a favorite movie about aliens?
I don't know. This might be kind of weird. This might be a strange answer, but just off the top of my head, Aliens, and then Prometheus and Alien Covenant come to mind. More so Alien Covenant, for what it did and for what it didn't do, for what it could have been and what it is, because it's Prometheus and Alien Covenant, I think, are really loaded movies, and I think they had really interesting concepts that weren't fully explored.
Yes.
But Alien Covenant in particular brought up some interesting questions, kind of going back to our original point about, reaching a singularity, becoming one with technology, or making robots more human, or making humans more like robots. David there is really a fascinating character, even the way he's written, the way he interacts with alien life, and then what that kind of says about us as humans, kind of as his father, as his parent, and then the way our children behave, out in the the wilds of the alien realms, poisoning this, creating a whole genocide, then creating a super weapon. And I think it kind of reflects on humans, what do we do when we encounter, foreign life forms, and how do we engage with things we don't understand or things we don't know? So yeah, I think Alien Covenant probably off the top of my head, for the philosophical implications, the biblical references. I know you're interested in the Bible too, and you've mentioned some things about everything being a variation. I think the Cain and Abel themes there. But anyway, this turned into Alien Covenant review. But yes,
no, but I agree.
I would say there's a lot there.
I like Close Encounters. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I forgot that. You know what? That's definitely right up there too.
That's
Yes.
a movie that I can watch, that I can see today. And I see today that movie when it starts the first hour, and I see, man, the scope of this movie is huge. I mean, they're going all over the world. They're getting people from France, to translate stuff. People from all over the world are having these things in their head that they're not understanding. I watched that movie maybe when I was, I don't know, like 5 or 7, but I really understood that movie later on, and I liked the last part. That is, maybe some people can argue that is a little bit long, but I love that. It's like the movie passed like that for me.
Oh yeah, no, I love. It's funny. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about other things, but Close Encounters is definitely one of my favorite movies.
Steven Spielberg at his best.
It's amazing. Those are good. Okay, those are great choices. Now, the same person, Mr. Sean Three Kids, says, "What 2 films scared you or left you unsettled after watching? Still waiting for your Lovecraft Country review. You promised. Love your show. Yeah, I need to finish Lovecraft Country.
I need
there's
to watch
so many
that
things.
too.
I gotta get through that. But I think films that scared me. Well, I'll tell you, The Exorcist. When I first saw The Exorcist, yeah, I was 13 years old, and that really, I love that. And a film that really left me very unsettled I talk about it all the time, was Martyrs. Not the American
Martyrs.
remake, but the original French language version of Martyrs. That
High
movie
Tension too. The French version was cool too.
That was really good. But Martyrs, man, that was a movie that left me philosophically sort of shook. So,
I don't know how deep you want to get into this. We might have to make this a whole episode at some point. But Exorcist 3 is a great film.
I love
it. Incredibly underrated.
Oh,
Serial killer
Exorcist
approved. Dahmer loved it. So
I love Exorcist 3. It's a Wonderful Life. I love Exorcist 3.
But if Jeffrey Dahmer felt like it was appropriate to play for people before he killed them, then clearly it's very disheartening. I think the book was great too. I don't know if you've ever read the book.
I've read the book.
Same guy
Legion.
that wrote the book, directed the movie. Yeah, Legion was an amazing. Wow, that I didn't even get it. I really enjoyed the movie, and that's what made me go back and read the book. And the book really surprised me how good it was.
Oh yeah, well, William Peter Blatty's a great writer. Was a great writer.
Now, the first Exorcist, I couldn't get through it at all. It was really a slog. But Legion, for some reason, just breezed by for me a lot better. But Exorcist 3, man, my goodness, how do you watch that movie and just get up and go about your day afterwards? There's so many ideas coming so fast. Samuel Jackson is there for a split second.
Yep.
It's just so many strange visual, auditory experiences all back to back.
I mean, Fabio and Patrick Ewing are in a dream
Ewing,
sequence.
yeah, I was just about to say Patrick Ewing was there too. And why was
Really?
Fabio,
Yeah.
what was Fabio doing? It was just so.
He's
so
an
many-
angel just there. He's there. That's one of the great dream sequences in cinema history, by the way.
I would have to agree with you. But there's so much in the Exorcist 3 that can be pulled, picked apart and dissected almost frame by frame.
Oh yeah.
The great relationship between Kinderman and the priest,
Father Dyer.
That was awesome too. There's just, I don't know, and then it brings up so many interesting questions about human nature, and it asks some really, I don't know, I guess it's disturbing, some disturbing questions.
Well, it's got one of the great jump scares of all time in it.
Oh, now that's what originally even turned me on to it, was the jump scare. I believe I watched it like best jump scares of all time. Some YouTube list. Somehow I got turned on to the movie from that, and then I jumped into it. Man, it was much better than just the jump scare. That's very reductive. It is a great jump scare, but there's so much beyond the jump scare that
I know, but it's still what's great about that jump
amazing.
scare is how it's designed, how it works.
They build it up.
They build it up, and then when you think nothing, they build it, and then you're like, oh, nothing's gonna happen, and then they hit you. It's so brilliantly done.
There's a lot of great sequences like that. I'm surprised William Peter Blatty never got the chance to direct anything else. Because
he did. He made a movie called The Ninth Configuration, but he made
yes,
that
sir.
before he
that was
made
before.
Exorcist.
I'm saying after Exorcist 3. I felt like that was a great proof of concept to do something else, maybe a little bit more intimate in the horror genre too. But Ninth Configuration was one of my favorite movies of all time. That was great too.
It's great. It's great.
That was Peter Blatty overall. Just it's amazing how phenomenal his work is, but how overlooked he is as a creator beyond the first Exorcist movie. I feel like that's his whole maybe claim to fame, or the reason why he still gets mentioned. But he has much stronger stuff in his oeuvre. But The Exorcist is great too, though.
Yeah.
Possession is another great movie too, horror movie. Sam Neill.
Oh yeah, I've got the box set of that Blu-ray. I'm a big fan of. Yeah, I have a big box set of Possession. It comes in like a velour.
Really?
Velour. Yeah, Mondo put it out. It comes with a soundtrack, and I love that
like
movie.
A Japanese bootleg one off of eBay, so I might have to look into that.
Oh, it's great. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me see if I can find it. Because it's.
That movie was disturbing. I would say that was more disturbing than The Exorcist 3. There was just so much strange stuff going on in Possession, and it was almost like a dream. Like the entire movie was a dream.
Actually, they've got they only did 2,000. Mondo did the set. Here's a great picture of it. And I'll put this up. I don't know if you're watching the feed on YouTube, because you won't be able to see. If you have the feed of the show on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. But this Mondo box set, it's an oversized Blu-ray box, and it's like got velvet on the outside of it. And so here it is. There's a little bit of a delay, but I'm going to put this into the. I'll put this so it's in the live chat right now. I mean, it's going to show up on YouTube. So this is the Mondo Blu-ray box set of Zulewski's Possession, starring Isabelle Adjani and Sam Neill. And if you haven't seen Possession, it's definitely a movie. I mean, on one hand, it just seems like it's about the disillusion of a marriage. So there it is, yeah, and it's you can find it like for $89 on eBay or something. But yeah, it's quite the special edition. So
this is insane.
I love it. I have a couple of Blu-rays of Possession actually, but it's great. It's a lot of fun. I love this movie. What about you, Andy? Do you have favorite horror films? Is horror your genre?
Well, actually, it became not my genre, but it became something that I love to visit later on in my life. Not when I was little. So I don't know when you watch The Exorcist 3. Maybe you were already 20 or 30 or I don't know. But when I watched The Exorcist, the first one, I was already a big man, So I like that movie for the movie and the story, not because it was scary to me, I didn't feel scared about the movie, but I loved the movie, the acting and the story itself and all that. I love that one. I haven't seen The Exorcist 3, and I've been watching you and listening to you talk so much about that movie that I need to watch it.
You gotta watch it immediately.
I need to see it. I need to see it for that jump scare, because you've been talking so much about that jump scare, the best jump scare in the world. I need to see that movie.
And
it cannot be overhyped.
No, and don't watch the jump scare on YouTube. Don't watch it outside.
No. I want, but I can tell you this. I know that many people, when they talk about horror, they can maybe make a difference between, a scare and gore, the presence of gore in a movie. Because when I was little, I thought of horror movies like some parts of The Terminator. And The Terminator is not a horror movie. Well, in a way. Maybe is in a way. I mean, the last part of I'm talking about 7-year-old, all right? Me, 7-year-old, or something like that. When I watched the last part of The Terminator, he following Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese in that almost slow motion through the. Yeah. So that was scary to me. I mean, I was little, and that was not like a true horror movie. It was more like a sci-fi action horror movie. And maybe when he was fixing his eye and all that shit, I thought of that like horror.
I think it is a horror movie.
In a way, maybe. So it's debatable. It's debatable. I think the first one is horror and the second one is true action.
Yeah,
it's not a horror.
Yeah.
By the way, Andy, this is totally an aside. There is an Argentinian science fiction film from 1996 called...
Are you sure it's Argentinian?
Yeah. It's called Mobius.
You talked about that one the first time we talked.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that one.
I really want to get it on physical media, and
You're positive it's Argentinian. All right.
Yep. It was... It starred Guillermo Angelini, Roberto Carnegie, and Annabella Levy.
Roberto Carnegie, I know that actor, yeah.
And it's based on a classic short story, A Subway Named Mobius by Armin Joseph Deutsch. The film is set in the Buenos Aires underground in a dark and dystopian Buenos Aires.
But what year? 96?
96.
Whoa. Okay, but it should be a very low budget movie, so it should be a really good story to grab you, not because of the environment and the settings and all that, because we have a very low budget movie,
Its budget was $250,000.
Really? They got to that much? Okay. Great for them. Well, now I'm curious. What is that? It's like a sci-fi horror.
It is, and I'll
Mobius, and that's the Spanish name too. Mobius.
So here
right.
I'll read you a little bit of what it's about, and here's why I kind of am obsessed with this movie. A friend of mine gave me a VHS copy of this movie. And
You told me this.
Yeah, it wasn't good, and I watched it, and the copy wasn't good, but I watched the movie, and I really liked it, and I thought, okay, well, one day it's got to come to America, and it never did. So I'll give you the brief. I won't read the whole thing, but on the 4th of March, the controllers of the Buenos Aires Underground discovered that a train number UM86, along with its passengers, has gone missing from the network of tunnels. After searching the entire network, which in the film is shown as being much larger than in reality, they failed to find the train and the passengers. In an attempt to hide the incident from the public, the director contacts the engineering firm responsible for the construction of the line where the train went missing in order to investigate the incident. The firm then sends a young topologist named Daniel Pratt rather than an experienced engineer, which displeases the director. And all this stuff happens... And I don't want to tell you what.
I'm just
looking
for it.
So the
here it is. I get it. Okay.
So the character of Pratt discovers this: the construction of this train line has turned the actual train network into a form of a Mobius strip, which under the right conditions caused the missing train to pass into another dimension. The theory is ridiculed by the rest of the committee, and Pratt is relieved of his post as investigator. He then leaves the station along with a girl, but then stuff goes from there. So I just thought, what a crazy concept for a sci-fi movie, and I really liked it, but I only ever saw it once in this crazy video cassette. And
I think I might have seen the trailer back in the day, you know what I mean? But I totally forgot about it. Now, you mentioned this the first time we talked a few weeks ago, and I thought, that's not an Argentinian movie. But it is. All right.
It's fine. An Argentinian movie, and I've always wanted to see it again, and I never was able to. So...
Can I recommend you another movie that you will absolutely love, and you will find it in Blu-ray because it's a 2014 movie, and it's been nominated for an Oscar, so it's a pretty easy to find movie. It's an Argentinian Academy Award nominated called Wild Tales. Wild Tales. It's been nominated for an Academy Award, so it's very, very easy to find.
I own it.
2014. Do
I
you?
own it. Yeah.
But you have more Argentinian movies than me. All
I
right.
own it. Yeah.
Well, hey, did you like it?
I loved it. I love
Well,
Wild Tales, and yes, I own it.
incredible.
And it's actually it's an anthology film. It's got multiple stories in it, which
Right, 5 stories, and if you pay attention, one of those stories, the one about the engineer that makes things blow up, is the same actor from The Secret in Their Eyes. Is Ricardo Darín, which is like the most famous actor here in Argentina. He had his chance to go to Hollywood, and he rejected it. He was cast to be in Men on Fire with Denzel Washington, and he rejected it because they were going to cast him as a Mexican. And he thought, why am I a Mexican drug dealer? I'm Argentinian. Why don't you go get a Mexican for this, And he's so famous here. He doesn't have a problem with money and all that, so he rejected Hollywood. He doesn't speak English, so I don't know if that was the issue. But I'm amazed how many Argentinian movies you have, Rob. I'm amazed.
That's a good question.
Of diverse passions.
Yeah, it's funny. I think about Wild Tales in the same breath that I think of another movie called Holy Motors. I don't know. The Leo Carax film that they have nothing to do with each other, but in my mind I think of them as kind of the same. They're in the same, but they're not. But they're kind of in the same. In my mind,
Rob. Sometimes I feel it's so crazy that you remember each and every fucking movie you have. How can you do that, man? You have like 3,000 Blu-rays. You remember each and every one of them.
Well, because I bought them. Yeah,
I know, but 3,000, man. You're like human computer or something. Yeah. I have 100 Blu-rays. Sometimes I forget about mine.
No, well, it's. I think because Wild Tales is a very unique film, and it was one of those things where I started seeing trailers for it, and I'm like, oh, I've got to see that.
The first one, the first short story, the one that starts the movie, is crazy, with the plane and all that.
Yep.
And the way it starts, no, it's crazy. That's a great movie. I thought you haven't seen that. You have it on Blu-ray.
I have it on Blu-ray.
That's great,
yes,
man.
I do. Slightly Mad 22 says, greetings from the UK. What movie that gets a lot of hate do you love? For me, it's Kevin Costner's The Postman. I don't get the hate for that movie. First of all, let me just say, I love The Postman. That was Kevin Costner's follow-up to Dances with Wolves, and it's based on a novel by David Brin. I'll tell you where I saw The Postman the first time. I was on the Warner Brothers lot, and it was a special screening, and it was Kevin Costner was hosting it, and the theater was packed, and he comes out on the stage, and he said to the crew, he said to the people that were there, I'll never forget this, because I knew exactly how he felt. He said, I just wish that I could be in the audience with you and see this movie for the first time, because he worked on it, he'd seen every frame, he directed it, he could never see it for the first time, and he was saying, I just wish I could be in the audience with you watching this movie for the first time, and I loved it. This post-apocalyptic movie where Kevin Costner winds up being a postman.
It tags so much. Why? Because I haven't seen that movie. I've seen the reviews was so bad that I just, I didn't watch it because of that,
Oh,
so why?
I think because the movie is very pro-American, and even though it's a post-apocalyptic thriller, it really.
That's the reason.
I think when I mean pro-American, I mean the main character becomes that the post office, the mail, becomes this unifying force in this post-apocalyptic world, and I think that it was just too much. I think people are like, come on, man, like it's one thing, like Dances with Wolves was one thing, but I think Costner in trying to make this story pushed it too far into this reverential America, yay us and American know-how, and I just think people were like, a little bit too cynical because the movie's not really cynical. It's a goofy. I mean, Tom Petty shows up in the movie and plays himself. You know, I mean, there's a scene when they find him and Kevin Costner's character's like, "Aren't you?" And he's like, "Yeah." But he's literally playing himself, it's pretty different than the book. But I love the movie. It was actually one of the first Blu-rays, or no, it was one of the first DVDs I ever bought. Was The Postman.
You know, I'm just trying to think about a movie that I love that everyone hates.
What I'm gonna say?
Which
I'm
one?
gonna say Batman Forever.
But Batman Forever has a lot of love.
Yeah, I like.
love
I mean, it's
Val
not
Kilmer.
terrible.
I
By the
mean,
way,
it did okay. It made a lot of money.
I did
when it
pre-order
came.
the Hot Toys of the Batman Sonar Suit and Robin from Batman.
It's not Batman and Robin.
Forever.
That movie is not that bad. It's not
But
that
people
bad.
trash it. I don't think it gets enough love. I think people go over to Batman Returns or they go to Batman Begins. But
You
I
know,
think
when-
Batman Forever hit a sweet spot that the other Batman. I don't even know if any other superhero comic movies really get into that, the cartoonishness, but still have a little bit of darkness. There's still I can't think of maybe a Freudian undertone of psychological, maybe like I'm trying to think of a body, like a sexuality, but it's appropriate and subtextual, but it's also a part of the character. It's relevant to the character's persona.
When I saw that movie, I loved it. But after watching some other iterations of Batman, then I just passed on it. I mean, when I saw Batman Begins, which is like the complete opposite, you know, that not that cartoony and all that, I love that one. But I remember when I was 15 and I saw Batman Forever, and I thought, wow, this movie is great. But at that time, all the world was amazed by Jim Carrey and all that, and the Jim Carrey wagon. And Jim Carrey's like took the spotlight for that movie. So
maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
I think Val Kilmer was a great Batman.
I did too.
And Jim
Yeah, I thought Val
Carrey
Kilmer
was a little bit too much in the movie because it was that Jim Carrey, you know. So I think
Nicole
that
Kidman
they
was great,
use
too.
it too much. Yes,
I
yes.
love Nicole Kidman. So
And also Chris O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell wasn't bad either.
No.
Yeah, he's solid. He made it work. It could have been more ridiculous, but he kept it grounded.
Jeremiah, did you like the Batman and Robin?
It's all right. I honestly don't understand the hate. It was my first exposure to Uma Thurman, so I'll always have positive.
Don't you think they went like a little bit too far on the cartoonishness?
I think the Batman credit card bit was kind of jumping the shark. But, to a certain degree, he can't be faulted for making what the studio want. I don't think that was his vision of, this is going to be my sequel to Batman. I think the studio was saying we need to have some toys happening. We need to have this Burger King tie-in. We want you to make a commercial. Because Joel Schumacher's films aren't Batman and Robin. If you go back and look at his entire oeuvre.
Right, absolutely.
No, like Falling Down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's
he's
a great
actually
movie.
A great director.
I love that movie. Falling Down is a great movie.
Yeah.
And many others. He has
he discovered Colin Farrell. He put Matthew McConaughey on.
Yeah, Phone Booth. What's it? Phone Booth? Movie.
Phone Booth.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that movie.
And also A Time to Kill, the Matthew McConaughey movie, the John Grisham adaptation.
He's great at casting. He's great at the darker material.
Do you think he did right going into public apologizing for Batman and Robin?
Because it was not that bad. It was really not that. It was not that.
I don't think that was good. I mean, you made a movie that cost a lot of money. That many people maybe were very proud about that movie because that was maybe their intention to make that movie. It didn't work, to make the kind of money they wanted to make, and the reviews were terrible and all that. But I don't know. He had to apologize for a movie.
Yeah, because I think he did what he was trying to do. I think the studio got the product they wanted, so I don't think he should be faulted for.
They wanted to sell toys, and they did.
Exactly. That isn't on. If it was a failure, it's not his failure. It's not his burden.
What do you think, Rob?
Well,
Oh,
no,
yeah, what do you have to say?
I can't go with you with Batman and Robin. I thought it was I like Batman
But
Forever.
Rob, okay, is Batman and Robin worse than Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker?
No.
Ooh.
Be honest.
No, it's
You know what?
not.
I have to
That
tell
bad.
you, like, here's going to be the most
No.
controversial thing I probably ever said on the show.
Come on,
Okay.
Rob.
I was
Come
more
on.
I was more entertained by Batman and Robin than I was by The Rise of Skywalker.
That's
I'm with you, man.
True. That's 100%.
I'm with you,
true.
man.
Who would disagree with that?
I hated I thought the Rise of Skywalker was one of the most creatively bankrupt failures of a movie I've ever seen.
And
I
that's
couldn't
not-
believe it.
I don't
couldn't
think Batman and Robin was creatively bankrupt.
No,
they
no.
disrespected Bane. That was unforgivable almost, but
At least they had a plan. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
mean, they had a plan.
the
They
story
were not
makes its own
just
sense.
making
There is
shit up
internal
by the
logic.
minute.
Yeah.
No, it was that's why you might not like Batman and Robin because I think it's a pretty wretched movie, but it's a movie that just didn't work. But they went for it. There's a vision there, and Schumacher was following his vision, and he might have taken it over a cliff.
Come on, man. Know when the little boots, when they click their boots, the ice skates come out. That's that's iconic.
I mean,
You know what?
Who has the cojones to do it, Rob? Who's gonna do it but Joel Schumacher?
Hey, I'm telling you, the opening ice hockey sequence and the museum
go.
or wherever the hell they are. I mean,
Can I say something? Can I say something? Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher did not make that movie because 20 fans were bitching and moaning because some shit wasn't happening in Batman. And The Rise of Skywalker, so many egregious stuff passed just because 20 fans or 20,000, I don't care, just bitch and moan. Oh, how can Luke throw the lightsaber? So we will make a scene where he catch the lightsaber. That was so
Yeah, that was
on the
so
nose, so
Yeah,
bad.
too much. It was way too much.
well, and
So on the nose,
also,
man.
if you compare if you watch Star Wars and Empire, and then you watch Rise of Skywalker, it's a crime against Western civilization. I mean, it really is, and it's
No,
I think an underrated movie is Manhunter. I think it got disrespected when it was released, but a
but
lot of
people like it
Michael Mann
now. I
films
think
get
it has a
better
pretty good.
as it gets reevaluated.
I have to say though, I'm going to say what I have a controversial answer to this question because I didn't answer it.
Okay.
Hudson Hawk.
I love Hudson Hawk.
I love Hudson Hawk too, and it's all
He's
over
so
the place.
stupid, but I love him.
I love it. I love Hudson Hawk.
He's so stupid.
I love Danny
but I love it.
Aiello and Bruce Willis singing as they rip shit off.
Yeah, man.
Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernard are villains in the movie, and James Coburn.
A very young Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, I love it. I love Hudson
Yeah,
Hawk.
making gold and all that.
Dude.
It's so stupid, but I loved it.
I love. I have that on Blu-ray too.
Yeah,
I
I'm
own. Actually, I hate to say this. I own Rise of Skywalker, Batman and Robin, and Hudson Hawk, and The Postman on Blu-ray.
Why did you buy Rise of the Skywalker?
Yeah,
Because
I
you
can't
had to-
excuse
Well,
that. Rob. We have to
it's
have
in.
an
To be
intervention.
fair, it's in the Skywalker Saga box set. So I had to
Okay,
get.
so-
okay. Clean that
But
one up
they-
because that didn't sound right out of context.
Yeah, but I don't think that's an excuse. Maybe you could take that out and burn it.
You know what's really sad is I'll never watch that movie again.
You can make a barbecue.
No,
with that.
that movie was pretty rough.
No, and you know what? You know what? After I saw Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I hadn't started by that moment the original series. I just watched that movie by then, and then I start thinking about the Rise of Skywalker because I haven't seen Discovery. I haven't seen Picard. I haven't seen the real new Star Trek. So I don't have your opinion. I'm just listening to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your opinion, and I understand your opinion about the new Star Trek, but I think that me having the experience of watching The Rise of Skywalker, I already have like a sample of the bad robot way of doing all things bad. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So when I compare it to Star Trek: The Motion Picture, I see, okay, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, this movie has something to say, something to make you think. something intelligent. They
Yeah.
really thought about a story.
Making a statement.
You know what I mean?
Statement, yeah.
And on the other movie, it's like, let's crap $200 million. Let's make a lot of special effects. And if it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't matter because it's Star Wars. We have the IP, and you can all go to shit or something like that.
I mean, I was so out of the movie as soon as I see the Millennium Falcon come out of hyperspace in a city. You know, they're doing the hyper. I'm like, does J.J. Abrams have an obsession with putting spaceships in, either on the ground, in the ocean, in cities? It's like there's such a fundamental lack of understanding of hyperdrive and how that works. I mean, you know, traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy. We learned that in the first. We learned that in Star Wars, where Han Solo gives you an explanation. You have to program a navicomputer so you don't bounce too close to a supernova. That'd end your trip real quick, wouldn't it? So the idea that a starship or a space-going vessel could come out of light speed inside the gravity well of a planet, that's not how it works. And when I watch this,
they don't care.
Well, that's the thing. I can't. His movies, his Star Trek movies, his Super 8, and his Star Wars movies have no care at all for creating he cannot believably create a world. It's whatever he wants to see. I want to see the Starship Enterprise underwater.
Right.
Why? Like, why is it like that's the? It's a starship. It's supposed to be like, you know, the Enterprise can't land, but that was the same thing when you're saying it's built on the ground in Iowa, whatever. I hated that.
Yeah.
But by the way, so I've got one last question because I'm going to have to end this wonderful show, which I'm loving. Actually, there's two questions. Mr. Sean Three Kids comes at us again and says, last question, who was most at fault for the disaster of Wonder Woman 84, the writer, the director, or studio interference? Jeremiah, what do you think?
Director. It's all on the director. We all know that Patty Jenkins was reined in with the first film and had a little bit more outside influence. I believe Zack Snyder was a little bit more of a controlling force as a producer. I believe the executives were able to kind of steer that ship. Even the writer, I believe Alan Heinberg was the writer there, and he's a veteran from comics. He did a great job on, I want to say, Young Avengers, where Patriot was introduced, Isaiah Bradley's grandson, which I believe they kind of touched on a little bit in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's a comic book guy. He did some great Wonder Woman comics. So he did a great job with the first movie, and I think that's the biggest difference is that overindulgence, even just in the opening sequence. That opening sequence is not, and the studio said you have two openings, so cut one, and she said no. So I believe that's indicative of the path the whole movie took, where they were indulging her to diminishing returns.
I just can't believe that story is about we can now grant wishes.
Can I tell you?
Oh, and Wishmaster, man, talking about movies that are underrated, that is amazing. The first
Wishmaster's awesome.
Is
can I tell you about that? My opinion about the Wonder Woman thing.
Yep.
I'm 100% with Jeremiah, 100% with him, because I think Patty Jenkins did a good job with the first Wonder Woman, and I don't know if the studio or the producers were so, with her in that movie. Maybe they were just watching what that movie will came out and if it was going to be successful or not. And on the second movie, it's obvious, or at least I think, they gave her all the freedom. You can do whatever you want. And that is what she did. That?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. That was a little.
So she has no excuse. She has no excuse.
There's no one to put it on. But Warner Brothers is also just a more indulgent studio, especially compared to Marvel Studios when it comes to how they make their superhero films.
I love the first Wonder Woman.
Producer, but yeah, the first Wonder Woman was actually pretty good.
I did too, and I thought the second movie was what story are you telling? You're telling a story about magic and wishes.
I forgot the entire movie. I don't remember a single scene of Wonder Woman 84.
I mean,
it was a weird movie. It was weird.
I mean, it's strange. It is a bizarre film. This is going to seem a little strange. I'm going to tell you my problem with wishes. No,
Oh,
with wishes as they're presented in Wonder Woman. See, the thing is, for me, if you're making a wish with Wishmaster, you have a genie. You have a conduit who somehow has power, and so if you ask the genie something, the genie can judge you, and the genie can fuck with you based on your wishes. It's an entity. There's an intellect there.
Yeah.
So I can, in my mind, I can believe with our Wishmaster character that if you're making
The Jinn.
if you're making that judgment, there's an entity there that can either facilitate or make it happen. But if you're just wishing on a stone or something,
He became the wish stone.
you become okay. He became, but so is he making these decisions? It's such a weird, like when you need some kind of a mechanism by which your wish is fulfilled. I know this seems weird.
No, you're
No,
right.
I didn't understand that. I didn't
At the
understand.
core, there was no
There's
question being answered by the wishes being brought into the story. They were a plot device, but they didn't explore themes implied
No.
by everyone
I-
having the ability to wish.
How did they? There's got to be some kind of intellectual mechanism that provides your wish for you. If you're just a stone that you touch, well, does that mean the cosmic switchboard in heaven where God is? Oh yeah, the wishing stone. People are asking for things. I guess we'll just miracle it out to them.
And I don't believe it was written by anyone with any interest in the comics, because we could have said it was, a part of the Rock of Eternity from the Wizard Shazam. Like, there are ways to kind of, who could be doing it? The Phantom Stranger. There are a few different ways you could try to tie it into a larger mythos, or even, somehow tied into the Helmet of Fate. There are a lot of different. Clarion the Witch Boy could have been involved in some way because, it's kind of mischievous. There are a few different ways you could try to. And then, if not him, then there's Morgan Le Fay, and you could tie in Etrigan the Demon. Like, there are ways to make it supernatural and bring up wishes that's reverent to the comics that still allows her to have a female protagonist, and you still get some interesting action beats. But it was a very odd viewing experience. It was a very
in my opinion, it didn't work
dull.
with the other antagonist. I mean, the cheetah character. Who's that about?
Well,
I mean,
he
at
was
the beginning,
miscast. That's the biggest issue.
at the beginning of the movie, I you know what I thought? I thought Jamie Foxx's Electro. That's what I thought at the beginning of the movie. She's clumsy and she's
there.
like, she doesn't want to talk to anybody and all.
Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
But-
well, yeah.
I mean,
But Michelle Pfeiffer had a great transformation, and there was no real
Yeah, I
transformation
love
for
the
Kristen Wiig.
Batman Returns.
Yeah,
I do
Michelle
too.
Pfeiffer had a really great, stark contrast in her posture,
No,
body language. Her look was different.
Yeah.
I don't think Kristen Wiig really. I mean, she's no Michelle Pfeiffer, but aside from that, even the physicality of the character, really didn't change beyond when they go into the CGI shenanigans and she
No, it
acts
didn't work.
differently. She's animated differently, but
They had all the money in the world, and I didn't believe it.
and she was justified actually in a lot of her villainy, like when the guy comes up to attack her, but she throws him away, and that really didn't seem like a villain move. And it was supposed to be like her heel turn.
Yeah.
So a lot of it didn't seem like it was very thoroughly thought out, or pushed beyond the first draft, or
Yeah, I completely
really-
agree with that. It didn't hold together. The story was like, wait, what? It took all these turns. So you wish Steve. So you've wished Steve Rogers. You've wished Steve Trevor alive. Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I can't, even as far as a superhero movie goes, I could not buy that you wished a human being into existence. I mean, that's truly, even if you have godlike powers, somebody who's
But
died, and
the
then
weirder part
Oh, go
is
ahead.
why did he have to go into someone else's body to be brought back?
Right.
That was my-
I mean,
What happened with that other guy?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happened with that other guy?
yeah, it was.
I mean, did he die for a few days or something?
So I mean, none of that made any sense. And when I was watching the movie, I'm like, wait, what? And you know what I think is really interesting? Here's what I find interesting, and I think this is problematic with a lot of our genre properties now, whether it's science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic book movies. There are creators out there that were not fans of comic books,
yeah,
and they don't understand. These creators think that, yeah, you could just have people wish for things. That happens in a comic book. and not
No.
understanding, like, it seems weird to say, but you need to understand the mechanics of how those wishes are granted. The same way J.J. Abrams, you need to understand the mechanics of hyperspace flight. And
Very true.
you just say, well, they can travel in hyperspace and you can just appear in a city. And I'm like, no, you can't. That's not how it works. The technology, it does. That's not. But these people think, these directors think, or writers, they think that, okay, well, it doesn't matter. I want them to have wish powers, and that's going to be the big catastrophe. And they never stop and think, well, okay, we as an audience, like just in real life, just play this thought game with me. So somebody tells you, a jinn comes up and shows up, I don't know, was living in your shoe and said, okay, you didn't know I was here. Now I'm gonna grant you 3 wishes. Well, on the page, in a story, it's like, okay, you can understand, you get 3 wishes. But in our physical world, where you're sitting right now, if you were to ask a genie and say, listen, I want to have $1 billion in my bank account, $1 billion. Well, we know that with our banking system and all of the checks and balances that are in place, if you suddenly were given $1 billion and, say, deposited into your bank account, there would be so many questions that you would have to then...
Yeah, you'd be under investigation.
Nobody...
That's a company.
Yeah, nobody... And then, of course, you have to say, well, of course, as you make your wish, the genie would just understand all this, and all of these problems throughout the world would be taken care of. So,
yeah.
and that's when I start thinking in terms of realistic science fiction, fantasy, and horror stories. Fantasy suffers because when, in Wonder Woman, I'm sitting there going, well, wait a minute, who then is deciding? So if you decide, like, okay, I want to own a house. Give me a house. Okay, well, who decides what color that house is? Unless you're very specifically going, I want a blue house that's this many square feet and all that. So then somebody is then making that for you. Like, how are they supposed to know your taste? Like, and wishes in a storyline when you want people to believe are really hard to do.
You know what? I think in a way they knew they had something terrible because, when you see a trailer and the trailer... I mean, this didn't happen with Blade Runner 2049, that the trailer didn't tell you what the movie was about. But in Wonder Woman 1984, I saw the trailers and I saw the marketing, and until the movie started, I didn't know what the fuck the movie was about. You know what I mean? So why did they hide that? Why did they hide that? Why did they hide that?
Rob, I guess you could probably answer this better than me, but I feel like there was a date put on this movie before there was a script written for the movie.
Oh, I completely agree with
that.
Absolutely.
At a certain time. And I kind of have to give Patty Jenkins some slack because if I'm not mistaken, that was also the time when there was a big sea change along with, AT&T merging.
Yeah.
Along with Kevin Sugihara's stuff going on, his multiple entanglements. So I think there was a lot going on where she didn't necessarily get the oversight she might have needed to, and the guidance she might have needed to. And if executives change, I mean, we've learned about this from the Jupiter's Legacy cancellation. If it's not their movie, they don't care. It's not indicative of their quality.
Right. I think you're right. I think that's very close. I think the real problem with it, I think you're absolutely right. I think all of those things are in play. Nobody sat and told her, like, having this whole wishing thing being your big problem, and Maxwell Lord is now the physical embodiment of a wishing stone. Like, this is all gobbledygook. This is all just stupid, dumb, nonsensical, weird Saturday morning bullshit.
Wonder Woman's character. It's not pulling anything out of her and revealing anything about her personality.
Yeah, it was bad. So we have Aurora Uplink said, I bought the Skywalker Saga 2. It was very good and worth it. The box set's good. I ripped the Blu-rays to make some music videos, so I'm tempted to make a Last Jedi one. Well, I would say you should. Why not?
Go for it.
Use that creativity. Now, Saberwolf, I have to, because I've got to get up in the morning, I've got to brought this. Saberwolf sends in a tip and says, I viddied that thinking this was for Glooby. Oh, this is Clockwork Orange. I viddied that thinking this was for glooby ones and that oomy ones would use like inspiration and what Bog sends. Such an amazing scene, the music, the settings, everything. Robin guests, what is your favorite Kubrick movie? My favorite Kubrick movies change all the time, but like you just said, I mean, Clockwork Orange is probably... I vacillate between Clockwork Orange, Doctor Strangelove, and Barry Lyndon. Those are my three favorite Kubrick movies.
Mine is Doctor Strangelove all the way.
Yeah, Doctor Strangelove is pretty tough.
I'm
That movie's
sorry
hard to beat.
when I'm not more sorry that you're sorry. I'm sorry because you're so. Oh, it's so great.
It's a genius movie. But I like all of Kubrick's films.
The Killing was probably my favorite, actually.
Killing's with one of the great endings of all time.
I think if I had to pick, The Killing would probably be my favorite.
Such a good movie.
Eyes Wide Shut, because I really believe Eyes Wide Shut, going back to your conversation earlier this week, is real. Like this Hostel thing, like how Hostel's probably real. I'm 90% sure Hostel's real, but I'm 100% sure Eyes Wide Shut is real.
Oh yeah, I mean you can go to those parties. There's parties like that all over the world.
That's what I'm saying.
I was reading in Dan Savage's Savage Love column about a European couple that goes to parties like that, and they got herpes at one of them.
Yep.
Whoa.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
They're now upset. They have to live their lives now. Like, I don't know. Should we go back to these parties and do we have to tell people and disclose that it was just funny?
Yeah, just get burned. Once you get burned, it's hard to have fun anymore.
Yeah.
But real quick, an underrated movie, Smoking Aces. I feel like Smoking Aces. Joe Carnahan's.
I love that
all
movie.
Joe Carnahan's films, they get critically bashed, but I really enjoy all his films.
I do too. You know, I met him.
Disrespected.
I met him when he showed his first movie in New York in '97, which was called Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane. It's kind of a Quentin Tarantino riff, but I really liked it.
Was he a used car salesman? Was that movie? Is that the right movie?
Yeah, that's the right movie.
Okay, yeah. I like that movie. It was good too.
Yep, it was good. Well, listen, gentlemen, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. I want to thank Andy all the way from Argentina and Jeremiah all the way from Houston.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being a guest again.
Thank you, man.
Oh, man, are you kidding? This was a lot of fun. Always good to have you guys. And I want to thank you for being here. This has made a good... Tomorrow's Midnight Metal with Dave... Well, Dave Parker's on Saturday, but I don't know. That's a different show, but I like these shows where we actually get to talk and hang out. I didn't have any alcohol today, just water, but that's good enough. You guys are always fun to talk to. I love hearing your opinions. So thank you for being here, guys. And we will. I'm sure we'll talk soon next week or something. And
absolutely.
All right. So be well, gentlemen.
You too.
I love those guys, and it's great to talk with them. And they're very enthusiastic, and they know a lot. So it's cool. And coming from Argentina and Houston. So on that note, I'm going to bring everybody, I'm bringing this show to an end. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel via Super Chats and tips. Thank you so much. If you want to send a letter to the Midnighter, you can write me at the Burnettwork.net website. You can do that. And, hey, if you like these chats, please hit like, subscribe, and all that. I want to thank my moderating staff. The Richard is here. Darren Seeley is here. Twin Flicks is here. So thank you for all that you do. Great to have you. And on that note, I will say I can't be on the John Campea show tomorrow because there's work that I have to do in the morning that I found out about late. But I will be back on Robservations tomorrow and a Midnight Metal. Can't believe that show is still doing that. So thank you all. And on that note, Midnighter episode 17 comes to an end. And I will see you all. We're going to be bringing back Whining About Movies is coming back in a couple weeks. We're going to get back to a normal schedule because Elizabeth will be able to... she doesn't have the school that she had. So that's pretty awesome. And we're going to find out. We're going to publish schedules for Whining About Movies. We're going to stick to them. So anyway, thanks for that. And on that note, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. All you have to do is listen. And on that note, I would say, have a better day. And thanks for being here for the Midnighter.